When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC on a Monday on which Liverpool take on Aston Villa at Villa Park in the Premier League in what is Jurgen Klopp's second to last game in charge. 7 days from today, he will no longer be Liverpool manager. He will be gone. Now, we have memories that will last forever, but we are entering the unknown with a new manager who's unproven at anything resembling a high level, has done very well, obviously, at Feyenoord, but it's an enormous step up to the Premier League, let alone to a club like Liverpool. So, there's reason for concern when you've had something that's been successful, that's comfortable. Change can often feel, a bit overwhelming, but there's reasons to be excited as well. There are real reasons to be excited as well about what will come over the next few years, especially with the structure that we've now got back in place, obviously with Julian Ward returning to the fold now, as well as Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes coming in, Pedro Marquez coming in, Will Spearman still in place. A lot of very good people in important jobs at the club now. And if Arne Slot can come in and do what the likes of Edwards believe he's capable of, then with their expertise and his coaching, hopefully the foundations that Jurgen has laid at this club can be built on and more success can follow. I thought what I'd do today is quickly look back over Jurgen's time and the games in which he's come up against Aston Villa and Unai Emery, because obviously he's faced him when Emery's been at different clubs. We start in 15-16. Obviously, Jurgen takes over. His first game is the Tottenham game on the 17th of October. Rodgers was sacked after the Everton game on the 4th. We had already played Aston Villa. Brendan Rodgers' last win as Liverpool manager was a 3-2 win over Villa. Jurgen's first game against Villa was on the 14th of February 2016. It was a 6-0 win at Villa Park. Daniel Sturridge, James Milner with a rare open play goal. Emre Can, Divock Origi, Nathaniel Klein scored. That's how funny things got. And Kolo Toure. 2-0 up within 25 minutes. And then 4 goals in 13 minutes. Just absolutely swept them aside. That ability to score a bunch of goals in quick succession was a real marker of the early Klopp teams at Liverpool. That season, he did meet Unai Emery. He met him in the Europa League final. Emery was obviously manager of Sevilla. We played them in the Europa League final in Basel. Daniel Sturridge opened the scoring on 35 minutes. And then the second half was a capitulation. Gamero scored immediately after half time. And then Koke scored on 64 and 70 as the defensive struggles of that team were exposed. One Dejan, the Pebble Lovren, having himself an absolute stinker of a game. The following season, 16-17, there was no Villa because they had been relegated. They were a championship team. Unai Emery was managing PSG, and we didn't play them that year because we didn't have any European football. So we can skip. Oh, we didn't play them in the cups that year, did we? I'm almost certain we didn't. No, we did not. We did not play them in the cups. Villa, that is, obviously. 17-18 then. There's still no Villa in the Premier League. They are toiling away in the Championship. We did play Sevilla, but obviously that was Sevilla without Emery, so we didn't meet them that year either. But 18-19, Villa still in the Championship, but Emery is Arsenal manager. He had been the one chosen to replace Arsene Wenger. And the first game we played them that year was a 1-1 draw at the Emirates. James Milner scored for us on 61. Alex Lacazette equalised on 82. We would meet them again just before New Year's on the 29th of December, and we absolutely smacked the life out of them. A 5-1 win at Anfield. A Bobby Firmino brace on 14 and 16 got us going after Maitland-Niles had put them 1 up. Sadio Mane scored to make it 3-1. Salah scored just before half-time to make it 4-1. And Bobby wrapped up his hat-trick with a penalty on 65. A comprehensive win for the Reds as we march towards 97 points, second place in the league, but did win the Champions League that season. Moving on then to 1920, obviously Liverpool would run away with the league this year. Emery was at Arsenal only up until November, but we did play them before that. We played them in the third game of the season, the 24th of August. And once again, we beat them quite comfortably. Joel Matip opened the scoring. Salah made it 2 just after half time. Salah made it 3. And then Lucas Torreira pulled back a late consolation goal for them. Emery was sacked, like I say, on the 29th of November. 7 years to the day almost after he was sacked by Spartak Moscow. The only other job I believe he has been sacked from. The only other job he's been sacked from. Spartak Moscow and Arsenal. If he lasts past November in a season, he tends to be okay. 2021, the return of Aston Villa to the Premier League. Emery has departed. He is now with Villarreal. So this season obviously starts off in catastrophic fashion with a 7-2 defeat in the fourth game of the year at Villa Park. Ollie Watkins scores. Watkins scores again. Salah pulls one back. McGinn makes it 3. Watkins makes it 4. Barkley makes it 5. Salah pulls one back, so it's 5-2. And then 2 from Jack Grealish. 7-2. I still can't quite believe that we lost to that Aston Villa team 7-2 because they were largely garbage that year. We then played them at Anfield in April and we beat them 2-1. They went 1 up through Ollie Watkins. Mo scored on 57. Trent scored in stoppage time and we won that game. We did not that year face Unai Emery. 21-22, we have ourselves back on track after the injury-plagued disaster from the season before. We play Villa for the first time on the 11th of December at Anfield, and it's a 1-0 win with Salah scoring from the penalty spot on 67 minutes. We would play them again. Why have I lost this and can't find it now? We will play them again on the 10th of May at Villa Park. Douglas Luiz scored on 3 minutes, Matip equalised on 6, and Sadio scored on 65. We would meet Unai Emery that year in the Champions League semi-final. A 2-0 win at Anfield, goals, and a Estupiñán own goal, and then a Sadio goal almost immediately after. And then in the second leg, you'll remember they went 2 up, Dia and Coquelin scoring. But then Fabinho got us back into it. Diaz scored 5 minutes later. Sadio completed the turnaround on 74, and the Reds marched on to a Champions League final, which unfortunately we were not successful in. Then last season, obviously we take on Villa twice. I've missed one, haven't I? I've missed the cup game in 2021. No, 1920. 1920, I've missed a cup game. EFL Cup. Villa beat us 5-0. Villa beat us 5-0. But we played a team entirely of children because we were playing in the World Club Cup on the same day. So we lost 5-0 to Villa on the 17th of December. So congrats to them on that one. Big win. Big win against our under-12s with, I believe, Neil Critchley sitting in the dugout, which will tell you how seriously we were taking that game. Anyway, back to 22-23. Emery takes over at Villa on the 1st of November. We play them for the first time on the 26th of December, Boxing Day, at Villa Park. Salah scores on 5 minutes, Van Dijk on 37. Watkins gets one back for them on 59, but Bajcetic scores on 81. And then we played them again in the second last game of the season. It ended as a 1-1 draw. Jacob Ramsey scored on 27. Bobby grabbed a late equaliser on 89. This is when we were doing the Trent inverting thing, and Emery was the first manager to figure out that if he just had his left winger track Trent into the middle of the park, it was actually quite easy to stop. The advantage we'd had is that teams were just letting Trent roam in field and leaving their winger wide to try and gain some advantage on a counter-attack. He just said to Jacob Ramsey, track him in field. And Ramsey did, and Trent was completely played out of the game. So, points for Emery in that one. We played them at the start of this season. This, I still think, might be our most comprehensive performance of the year. A 3-0 win on the 3rd of September. Szoboszlai, a Matty Cash equaliser, and a Mo Salah goal on 55. Matty Cash own goal. Did I say equaliser? Matty Cash own goal. And a Mo Salah goal on 55 gave us a 3-0 win. They had obviously had a really good run last year under Emery once he took over, top 4 form from when he took over till the end of the season. But they'd had a bit of a ropey start. They'd obviously gotten trucked on the first day of the season. But they were still a really good team, and they came to Anfield and they were never in the game. Like, you know, in every game, each team has a spell. Now, one team's spell might be 75 minutes of control, but the other team will always have like 10 to 15 minutes where they're just on top. Go and watch that game again. There was no time in that game where they were on top. We limited them to just like a couple of moments, but we comprehensively outplayed them. And the biggest reason for that is because Emery, having had Jacob Ramsey trail Trent the year before, or in the game before, the end of last season, didn't have John McGinn do the same. Just left McGinn standing wide left, and Trent had the run of the pitch. and we beat them comfortably. We were excellent on the day. Darwin was brilliant. Darwin contributed to all 3 goals. Didn't get a goal himself. I don't even think he got an assist on the day, but go and watch those goals. And Darwin is absolutely vital to all 3 of them. He wins the corner on the first. His shot hits the post, bounces back, and hits Cash for the second. And I can't remember what his involvement on the Salah one was, but he was definitely involved in that goal. So now we're here. Now we're playing them again in the league. I've missed another one somewhere along the way because I know, didn't we play them in another cup, but they had to play a bunch of kids because they all had COVID or something? It doesn't really matter. It's not important. It wasn't a league game. It wasn't a game anybody really cared about. You know what I do care about, though? And this is the most startling thing I've seen about us this year. So Alex, his Twitter handle is Yalexo _. So at YALEXO _. So what he did was he went and he looked at what the league table would look like, taking only goals scored between the 31st minute and full time. So taking out the first half hour of a game. 36 games with that qualifier, we would be 6 points clear at the top of the league. We've scored 68 goals and conceded only 25, which is level with City for second best. 26 wins, 5 draws, 5 defeats from the 31st minute on. 83 points we'd have. Arsenal would have 77 and City would have 72. So now obviously it hurts both of them because they both start quite quickly. And in multiple games, they've been a goal or 2 up by the half-hour mark. But that's not what I saw that was really staggering. This is what's really staggering. This is based on the first 15 minutes of games. Okay, so just kick off to the 15-minute mark. Arsenal have been the best on goal difference, ahead of City. Both of them have been outstanding. Newcastle, they've been excellent. They've started games very, very well. Then Tottenham, then Chelsea, then Bournemouth, then Villa, then United, Burnley, Forest, Luton. Missing anyone yet? Fulham, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Everton, West Ham, Brentford, Wolves, Liverpool, and Sheffield United. The second worst team in the entirety of the Premier League based on the first 15 minutes. So that's basically whistle goes, kick off, game ends on 15 minutes. Arsenal would have 9 wins and 23 draws. City would have 8 wins and 26 draws. Newcastle 8 wins and 25 draws. Tottenham 9 wins, 21. Chelsea 9 wins, 21. Liverpool 2 wins, 2, 27 draws, 7 defeats, scored 2, conceded 7. And note, that means that in the games where we've scored, we haven't conceded. But in the games where we've conceded, we also haven't scored. Second worst team in the league in the first 15 minutes. Now, there is one caveat. This is based on games to date. So we've played 36 games. Wolves, above us, have played 37. So let's say we played tonight against Villa, and let's say after 15 minutes we're 1-0 up, right? So that's another win for us based on this metric. So we'd be the third worst team in the league. But still, that's awful. That is genuinely awful. And it's absolutely staggering to me how poor we've been in the early stages of games. We just don't look prepared at all. We all know there's a major issue with our defensive structure. Everybody can see that now, I hope anyway. But this thing of starting so poorly, this is why it winds me up when I see people say the reason we've fallen off is because the forwards haven't scored enough. That's not the issue. The issue is how slowly we're starting games and how poor our defensive structure has been. And look, there is some mitigation to be had because of the injuries. You know, we've had 3 different right backs this year. Trent, Gomez and Conor Bradley. We've had 3 different left backs. Robbo, Costas and Gomez. And 3 different fellas have partnered Virgil on a semi-regular or regular basis. Matip, Ibu and Kwanzaa. We've also had 2 different goalkeepers because Kelleher played a ton. There was a point this season where Kelleher played as many games as Ali. So that's part of it. But the fact that it doesn't matter who's playing where, whether it's Robbo, Ibu and Trent, whether it's Bradley, Ibu and Costas, whether it's Robbo, Kwanzaa and Gomez, it doesn't matter who's been playing. The issues have always been there because the structure is not right, because we're an imbalanced team.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
And that's the first thing Arne Slot needs to fix. He needs to go, well, he won't be making the decision on who we buy, but the club needs to go big on a defensive midfielder and a new left back. And if you're still putting together ideal 11s under Arne Slot with Andy Robertson in them, I think you need to go and watch the last 2 seasons worth of games again, because he's been really, really poor. He's had the odd good game here and there. He's been really poor. He has declined enormously over the last 2 years. It's time for him to be replaced. 1 year left, age 30. The smart move is to sell him this summer. The era of sentimentality and all that crap needs to go. It might be worth looking at not necessarily a replacement for Ibu, but someone that could be a replacement for Ibu. Certainly someone that can come in and play when Ibu isn't there. And I know we have Kwanzaa, and he's done really well this year, but I'd rather if he were the backup to Virgil next year, and Virgil could play a little bit less. I think that role would suit Kwanzaa a little bit better, that more sweeper style of role, and get someone in who's a bit quicker, a bit more aggressive to play that Ibu role, be more that stopper type. Then that way you can kind of manage Ibu a little bit better across the course of a season. But without question, certainly we've got to sort out the left back position and we've got to sort out the defensive midfield position. And we've also got to have in place a structure for when we're in possession and out of possession, that is solid defensively. We can't have this situation as we've had all season where it's Virgil and Ibu as the only two defending with Endo or Alexis sat in front of them, but playing front-footed and going to press. And then everybody else launched into their half. And maybe, just maybe, sometimes Trent is wandering around in midfield, but in no way looking to do any defensive work. That can't happen again. Cannot happen again. It's funny, seen an awful lot of people praising Arsenal's defensive performance this year. 28 goals conceded. And aren't they absolutely fucking wonderful? And it just made me laugh because they play with 6 defensive players. They play 4 centre-backs and 2 defensive-minded midfielders. One an actual defensive midfielder in Thomas Partey, and one like a box-to-box ball winner in Declan Rice. And they're conceding 28 goals. And I look back and I look at the 21-22 season, where Liverpool conceded 26 goals. And that was playing a far more attack-minded, adventurous style of football, which had 2 very attacking fullbacks. But we had 2 great centre-backs and then 2 sat in front of them in Fabinho and Thiago. And I think, well, if this is a great defensive team, this Arsenal team, what must we have been? Considering, they've scored 89 goals this year. We scored 94 that year. Now, they might match that, but we were doing what we were doing in a much more adventurous manner. You look back at 1920. Now, I know we conceded 33 goals that year, but I would ask you to take a look at our defensive record up until COVID and what we were doing. And then go and have a look at how many goals we conceded after football came back. 4 at City, 1 at Brighton, 1 at Burnley, 2 at Arsenal, 3 against Chelsea, 1 against Newcastle. Like, take those goals out after we'd won the title. And that's another incredible defensive season. The season before that, 18-19, again, we were playing a much more adventurous style of football than Arsenal. Again, we were defending with a 4-man block, 2 centre-backs and 2 sat in front. Then it was Fabinho and Gini. 22 goals conceded. Full-backs basically playing as wingers. Trent and Robbo playing as high as possible. But yet, we're meant to be really impressed by this Arsenal team and their defence, but we were doing it to a much higher level. We're also meant to be really impressed by the fact that they've spent 620 million and their maximum points for this season is 89. That's apparently something we're all meant to get very excited about. And yet, 18-19, 97 points, 19-20, 99 points, 21-22, 92 points. We don't get a fraction of the credit for going over 90 3 times when Arsenal, despite all that money spent, and the league being a little weaker, like the league is a little bit weaker, they're not going to get to 90 points. I saw Mikel Arteta claiming that, he's made history this year. Made history. He pointed to Arsenal's number of wins this season and said, that's not progress, that's history. Assuming they beat Everton, they'll have won 28 games this year. Now, including City this season, 9 other teams will have won at least 28 games in the last 8 years. And 5 of them will have won more than 28 games. We won 28 games in 21-22. We only lost twice. They've lost 5 times this year. In 1920, we won 32 games. In 18-19, we won 30 games. We only lost once that year. Like, these two teams going for the title this year are not a patch on the Liverpool team of 2018 to 2020. They're not a patch on the City team of 2017 to 2019. City are going to win the league this year with 91 points. Now, last year they won it with 89, but that's because they had it won with 2 games to go and basically just threw the last 2 games to focus on winning the European Cup and winning the FA Cup for the treble. They had 88 points with 2 games left, so 94 would have been their max. Obviously, 21-22, they win it with 93, we get 92. 2021 was just a shit year, but they won the title with 86 points because there was no jeopardy on them. And again, go and look at their results at the end of the season. They lost 2 of the last 5, could easily have passed the 90-point mark. 1920, we won the league with 99 points. 18-19, again at City, 97, or 98, we have 97. 17-18, City win the league with 100 points. 16-17, Chelsea win the league with 93 points. Like, we never sat back and overly praised the Tottenham team that finished second in 16-17. We just pointed out they hadn't won the league. They finished with 86 points. They only lost 4 times that year. They only conceded 26 goals that year, which, just to point out, better than Arsenal this year. They finished above Pep Guardiola and City, above Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, and above Unai Emery and Arsenal. And wasn't Jose Mourinho at United that year as well, finishing 6th? But we never spent our time lauding that Spurs team anywhere near as much as this Arsenal team are getting lauded. When what they did was every bit as impressive as what this Arsenal team has done, in fact more impressive, because they didn't spend 620 million to get here. The title race this season has just been so funny. Like, if we win our last 2, we're going to end up with 84 points. That's what Arsenal got last year. And people couldn't stop fondling themselves over it. We're in year 1 of a rebuild. And we're going to match their total last year when they'd spent well over 400 million. They got 84 points, spent 210 million to get 5 points more and finish in the same spot. Like, what are we meant to be enamored with? What are we meant to be impressed by? Still going to end the season potless. We might finish 3rd, but I'd rather be 3rd with a cup than 2nd with nothing. It doesn't matter if you finish 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. They're interchangeable positions because you haven't won anything in the league. You get the exact same prize, which is a spot in the Champions League. But if you finish 2nd or 3rd or 4th and win a cup, like, you've had a better season than whoever else is finishing those spots and hasn't won a cup. Comical stuff. What else do we have today? 10 key things to know ahead of Klopp's final away game. There's a suggested lineup. This is Anfield, obviously. Ranking Klopp's 9 seasons from best to worst. We'll come to that. Luis Kumas shines as top scorer, but Liverpool's under-21 season ends in heartbreak. We'll come back to that. Why Liverpool can't trigger Mohamed Kudus' release clause this summer. I believe it's because it's not actually active till next summer, but I'll have a look anyway. Liverpool shocked Aston Villa with Christian Benteke offer. That's because Brendan Rodgers is a moron. Arne Slot's Feyenoord net late winner. Only one loss in their last 25 games. They play one good team twice a year. That's PSV. So, fair play, but let's quickly have a look at their season. 23, 24, Feyenoord. Anyway, let's look at Jurgen's seasons. This is done by Young Henrold. 18-19 is the season he's gone with as number one. I think that's fair. 19-20 then would be second, league title. 21-22, I don't know. But he's gone 17-18. I'd be inclined to push that ahead of the other one. Just because the other one ended in heartbreak, more than anything. 15-16, that's basically, where he took over from. I'd put 16-17 ahead of that. We finished fourth in the league. This season is seventh. 2021 is eighth. And obviously, last season is ninth. Yeah, last season was crap. Lewis Kumas shines as top scorer. So, we drew 3-3 with Tottenham in the playoffs for the under-21 league, and we lost on penalties. I believe Kumas was top scorer for the 18s last year, and now the 21s this year. That's pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive. Trey Nioni playing as a false nine. Can we not do that, please, in future? Put the lad in midfield. Yeah, so there was a report from someone in Ghana, I think, saying that we were going to trigger the release clause this summer. Release clauses in club contracts only activate after the third transfer window following their signing. That might be a West Ham policy, because he mentions that it's true with Paqueta. He's got a release clause that becomes active this summer. Yeah, it might be a West Ham policy. Let's just check on Feyenoord's season. So who have they played this year that's been good, and we can see if the one defeat in 25 is all that impressive. Joel Matip takes big step in injury recovery, yada, yada. That's everything there. Liverpool.com predicted 11 for tonight. 3 pieces about Arne Slot. Piece about Rafinha. The 6 players Liverpool could be without. Okay. Another piece about Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson and 5 more could miss out, apparently. Piece about Kudus. Piece about Anthony Gordon being in an exclusive Mo Salah club. I assume that's 10 goals, 10 assists. It's not going to light up Michael Edwards' laptop, though, because it's one season that Anthony Gordon has actually done something in his career. I don't know if people think Anthony Gordon is like 19 or something, but he's 23. And this is the first season in his career where he's done anything. He played 78 games for Everton and scored 7 goals. 1 in 11. He was booked more times for diving than he scored goals at Everton. In his career, he has scored 20 goals in 100 154 games. Sorry, 150 games. 4 of them are for Everton's under 21s. So he's actually scored 19 goals. He scored 19 goals in 150 games. That's 1 in 7.5. He's 1 in 5 at Newcastle. Like, he's not a prolific goal scorer by any stretch. This is the best season of his career. He scored 10 in the league, 11 in all competitions, in 47 games. Even that's not particularly good. Last season, he got 4 goals in 34. The season before, he got 4 in 40. Prior to that, he'd played 20 games for Everton and 11 for Preston and never scored. And people are saying we should spend huge money on him. Utter drivel. Right, we'll check Anfield Index, but first we are going to have a look at Feyenoord's season. So, in the league, there's one other good team in the league. That's PSV Eindhoven. Twente are 15 points behind them. AZ Alkmaar are 17 points behind. And Ajax are 26 points behind. So let's look at Feyenoord against PSV, Twente, and AZ. They lost away to Twente, 2-1. They beat AZ at home, 1-0. They lost 2-1 away. Sorry, 2-1 at home to PSV. 2-1 at home to PSV. They drew 0-0 with Twente at home. They beat AZ 1-0 away. And they drew 2-2 in Eindhoven. Now, they have beaten both PSV and AZ in the Cup. PSV 1-0, AZ 2-0. And then in Europe, Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and Celtic. They beat Celtic. I mean, they should beat Celtic. They beat Lazio 3-1 at home. That's their best result this season by, well, other than beating PSV in the Cup. But like Lazio this season are mid-table. Lazio are 7th in Serie A. They drew both games against Roma. They lost both games to Atletico. They lost to Celtic. They lost to Lazio. In a strange turn of events, in the Dutch Cup, all 4 of their games up until the final were home games, and then the final was played at their stadium. So all 5 games are at their stadium. The only good away win they have this season is AZ Alkmaar in the league, a 1-0 win. I'm also not really sure how the 1 defeat in 25 works. Let's see. Oh, if we start with the Celtic game, it's 1 defeat in 25. So 5 in the Cup, 10, 15, 20. No, it's 1 in 25 domestically. Or 1 in 25 including 1 in 25 including the Celtic game. That's what they've done. They've taken it from the Volendam game after PSV beat them. So it's 1 defeat in 25 since then. Since then, they've played PSV once, in the league, PSV in the cup. That's 2, and that's pretty much it. That's worth talking about. It's one of them stretchy stats that if it was another club that hired him and we're trying to hype that up, we'd all probably laugh. But again, like, I trust Edwards implicitly. I think the structure is going to be phenomenal. And I think his football is good. He's going to need to work on the defensive side of things. That's the be all and the end all. On AnfieldIndex.com, there's a piece about Dani Olmo. There is a Rival Recon article about the Villa game, what to expect from the game against Villa. Liverpool financial outlook brightens. We're set for a £190 million boost ahead of the summer. Ben Boxack, Liverpool's multi-club model, 3 summer transfer targets. Let's have a look. Oh, I assume he's looking at players we would sign for another club, like as in players to go to a secondary club. Suyito Suzuki, 22-year-old Japanese forward, playing for Brøndby. Plays more as a kind of second striker than as an actual 9. 18 goal involvements in 26 games. Okay. Ali Jazim, an Iraqi international. Just turned 20. I don't know this player. This is largely based on his international performances. And then Loran, who is a Brazilian. Again, yeah, I assume all of these. He's a 17-year-old winger of Flamengo, who there has been a bit of hype around. Doesn't look like a winger. Like, he's got the build of more of a 9 or someone that would play a kind of off a 9. Kind of a bit like what's the guy's name? Cameron Archer. That's who he's kind of built like. A little bit of like a smaller Brian Brobby. Yeah, this would all make sense if that's what we're doing. And Ben does mention that, you know, you look at the Brighton model where they've got Union in Belgium, and they buy a lot of players for that club with the view to moving them on. And we've seen Victor Boniface being one of the star names. I think Dennis Undav was there. So yeah, I mean, that's fair play. Podcast wise, we will have obviously post-match Raw after tonight's game. There is a new Mulby on the spot with Trev and Jan. There's a new Scouser Tommies. There is a Rival Recon. And there is an AIP episode 386. It's Trev and Lisa Marie. So give all of that a listen, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.